What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Sports Card Aesthetic, where we look at cards and talk about how pretty
Or not pretty.
they are. I'm Tyson, sports card enthusiast.
And I'm Emma, sports card unenthusiast.
And with that, let's look at some cardboard. Heyo!
That's going in.
All right, Emma, we're going back to baseball.
Oh,
We've got a new card for you to look at. Are you ready? Are you excited?
I'm ready.
Are you ready to aesthete?
Don't say that.
So this is, we'll just tell you what the card is. 1989, we're going back to the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Upper Deck,
What does that mean?
that's a card brand,
Oh.
like Topps or Bowman.
Oh.
1989, Upper Deck, Ken Griffey Jr. Are you ready?
Hit me.
Boom.
Aw.
And let's get those first impressions. Waft, meld, smell that card. So you said aw, like you were looking at a kitty or something.
Yeah, he's just kind of got a sweet, naive looking face.
Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts? You've looked at it long enough. Give me some initial impressions.
So, I mean, my initial impression is, the picture of him is just such a nice picture of him.
Mm-hmm.
So my first response is, I like this card.
This card.
This
Okay,
looks
good.
this looks very 80s. The fact that he's
What
wearing,
looks 80s about it?
well, he's wearing a turtleneck with a necklace.
Okay.
So that's
Okay.
interesting.
Uh-huh. I never thought about him wearing a turtleneck, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah, he's wearing a turtleneck
Nice.
under his baseball jersey with a kind of medallion necklace.
Mm-hmm.
And the turtleneck is almost kind of purple, which really doesn't go with the hat that he's wearing, the blue.
To me, that looks dark blue to me, but
I think it clashes in a kind of good way.
okay. Two different blues on top of each other.
It's more of like a purplish navy,
Yeah.
and then a royal blue, which actually kind of clashes, but it just creates a kind of
Kind of a nice
contrast.
yeah, I kind of agree.
And I really like the wood bat,
Mm-hmm.
the wood grain.
It
in
kind of
the picture.
gives it some organic texturing
Mm-hmm.
look to it.
This is the first one we've looked at, I think, that really is just a posed portrait,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So I mean, he does look.
This is right at the camera.
He does look like he just showed up to school for picture day.
Mm-hmm.
And
For
they-
baseball picture day.
Well, no, just like to sixth grade, and they were allowed to bring props this time.
Mom, can I bring my bat? Sure, sweetie. Do you know who Ken Griffey Jr. is?
The name is very familiar.
That rings a bell.
If I saw his face, I don't recognize.
Would you
that
identify
person.
him as a baseball player?
No, I think to me, I don't know if I would know if he's a baseball or basketball player.
Okay.
But maybe well, I don't know. Maybe.
So let me give you. So we've gotten your first impressions. Let me give you some history, and then we'll dive deeper into this. So 1989 Upper Deck. This is a rookie, as stated on the card. We can talk about if you like that or not. 1989 was the first year of Upper Deck cards. So for a long time, there was Topps and Fleer, Donruss, Bowman. These were all going back a long time. This was the first year of Upper Deck. This was 1989 before I think Griffey had ever played a major league game. He was number one. So each card is numbered in the set. Each player has a number of what card they are in the set. 1, 2, 3, 4, and
Each
so
player
forth.
does
Right.
for that year.
For that year. So they picked Ken Griffey Jr. as not only they picked him as having the number one, like the first Upper Deck card is that card off
So
the
this
line.
is this is the first card
Of
period
Upper Deck.
that they have done.
Yes, and they got very, I don't want to say lucky because they chose the right guy, but they chose what they thought would be a high-level prospect who might turn into a great player.
Well, they really knocked it out of the park.
They knocked it out of the park with Ken Griffey Jr. because he became probably, I would argue, the biggest baseball star of the 1990s. So this is his first year card. It's the first Upper Deck card. It's number one. Upper Deck at this time had a little bit. I wish you could actually see this card because it was glossier at the time than other cards, so it seemed a little bit more high end. Mm-hmm. And this was arguably the most iconic card of the 90s. This is the card I remember so specifically from my childhood. I stared at this card in Beckett magazine for hours. I wanted this card so badly.
You never got it?
I did get it.
Oh.
I finally bought it for $60, which was the biggest price I'd ever paid for a card in my life.
Oh, this is a long time ago.
It took a long time for me to drop $60 on this card. Okay, so you've talked about his boyishness. What a great smile.
He's got a great smile.
What a great smile from this guy. He looks so sincere. He looks so excited to play baseball.
He looks happy to be here.
He looks happy.
He does.
He looks genuinely just pumped to be having his picture taken.
But also relaxed. He looks calm.
So the thing about Ken Griffey Jr. that you may not realize, he was so cool. We all thought he was so cool, and I think this card really shows just how much you wanted to hang out with this guy.
Yeah, he looks very, very friendly.
Yeah, and a big smile. And as you've talked about, this is so different than like the 1952 Topps Mickey Mantle card, which was so disconnected. Almost cold in a way.
What do you mean disconnected?
Well, in that Mickey Mantle was looking over his shoulder. He was not connecting with you personally in that card.
He is sort of staring into our eyes right now.
Mickey Mantle was mythologized in that card. This card is like, you want to hang out with that dude.
Well, like I said, he looks like a kid you went to elementary school with, and you're running into him at school.
So Ken Griffey Jr.'s dad played in Major League Baseball. He was Ken Griffey Sr., obviously. And so Ken Griffey Jr.'s nickname was the Kid. That was his actual nickname.
Wow.
And doesn't this card just perfectly
This is the kid.
capture the kid?
Yeah.
He looks like he's going to have fun playing baseball.
Yeah.
And that's what Ken Griffey was all about. He would like be in like home run derby contests and like put his hat on backwards. And we thought that was so stinking cool that he would do like home run derbies with his hat on backwards. Me and all sports lovers. I mean, we love this guy. I agree with you. I like the bat on the. It's also, again, it's different than Mantle. Mantle's bat on the shoulder was like, I think I called it a weapon. Like it looked very.
This is very straight.
This is relaxed.
But it's also very posed.
It's very posed.
So
but it's relaxed.
So Mantle's got it slung across like he's preparing to step up to the plate. This is just him kind of holding his prop. Casually in a posed way. Yeah, so it's very unassuming, and it's not. He's not in play here. He's just sort of showing up as a guy.
And in one of the other cards we've done, the 1986 Fleer Jordan, I would like to compare it to that too. In that one thing I love about this card that I can't take my eyes off it, the photograph is so clear. It's just so nice. It is like someone took a really nice portrait of him, and I think just the him looking into the camera just makes it such a completely different card than most sports cards. And I'm going to show you a different Griffey card in a little bit that is in contrast to that.
Well, so we haven't mentioned the border.
Yeah, let's talk about the composition and the layout. So you want to talk about the rookie?
Well, I don't have anything.
What do you want to talk about?
I don't.
You don't want to talk about the rookie? What do you want to talk about?
I don't want to talk about the rookie. I think the rookie, I think that also looks like he's the star kid. I like the star. I like it just marks that he's a rookie. I think it works perfectly. The thing that I was thrown off by when I first saw this was the green and brown kind of pixelated bar, vertical bar on the right side.
Do you know what that is?
It looks like AstroTurf.
I will admit, it has always kind of had a football-y kind of look to it. That's like running down first base, basically.
Oh,
so you've got the dirt and the
baseline.
grass. Yeah, the baseline.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's what that is. Although I do admit,
it's kind of like a pixelated version.
When you kind of look at it, it is, and that gray outfield looks like a button on an old computer.
What gray outfield?
The gray square at the top there.
I was going to ask you what OF meant.
OF means outfielder.
Outfielder.
Yeah, he plays the outfield. He was a center fielder. But that looks like a button on an old computer.
It does look like a key.
Like on Encyclopedia Britannica or something.
It looks like the tab key or something. Yeah.
So I don't love that. That dates this card in not a good way, I would say.
Well, I don't think it's wrong to be bad to be dated.
Okay,
I mean,
but it is dated.
well, so I didn't realize that this was a baseline.
Yeah, does that change your opinion of it?
Well, because what I saw it as was just some very, very late 80s, early 90s stylized bar, like you might see in a like a hair magazine at a hairdresser's or something. Like it just seemed very.
It's a baseline.
Yeah, I don't hate it.
Okay.
I like that it's green and brown.
It's also a little bit pixelated.
It looks pixelated,
super,
but to me, it kind of dates the card
in a good way.
Right where it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it gives it a certain style.
Yeah.
That I sort of like.
Yeah.
The only issue is that shouldn't there be a comma after Griffey?
I believe you're right. That seems to be a mistake.
So.
Also, I don't like that it seems to be in just like Arial font.
I sort of like that it's clear.
Oh, you like that?
I sort of like that it's just very clear, just printed.
It's very simple.
Black.
Yeah. It's very. You've got a very thin black background, a black border.
And I think the very thin black border works with the white. That's the completely plain white background, and then the plain Arial black.
So you like that?
I like everything about this.
Okay. I'm not against it. It's very simple. It's very clean. I mean, this is very just like. It's not drawing really any attention away from
his face,
Griffey's smiling face, other than maybe a little bit that star rookie in the corner, and then you've got
what's in the bottom left.
That is the Upper Deck logo.
Oh,
so it says Upper Deck there.
It does. Oh, I see.
Which I think it's pretty unassuming.
It looks like a baseball diamond, sort of.
It looks like a baseball diamond. I think it's it doesn't intrude in any way. I believe I have this right. I believe I read that the person who took this photograph, this was like maybe a minor league game, and he was not on the Seattle Mariners yet, which is what that's showing.
S. Yeah, what is
and
the
so
S?
I think someone photoshopped that S onto that hat. I think I read that.
Really?
Because he just had a plain hat on, and they needed to make it look like he was on the Seattle Mariners, which was the team he was playing for, or he would be playing for.
But he just happened to be wearing the right color of plain hat?
Maybe. I have to dive back into that, but let's, photoshopped or not photoshopped, I like it. It kind of matches the star rookie color, it's kind of, and even the medallion that he's wearing, whatever necklace he's wearing, it kind of is symmetrical to that, and a little bit color-wise. No? Okay. I guess the bat and the necklace actually have a closer color together.
I guess what I like
I'm reaching there.
Yeah. See, what I like about this is not that anything is matching. I think to me, the only thing that's matching.
You like the mismatching of this card.
Yes. The only thing that's matching is the very basics of the format. So the skinny black border, skinny black print, white background.
Yeah.
And then his. It seems like, and then we got, he's wearing his jersey, and he's got the bat, and he's got the hat. Mm-hmm. So those are the props that are, specific to the game and his team. Mm-hmm. But everything else, to me, is just like his personality. Like, he decided to wear what he wanted underneath the jersey for this picture.
Yeah.
He's like, so to me, it seems very much like we get his personality kind of coming out through the kind of formula of the card, so it doesn't have to match. He could wear something that completely clashed with it, but I sort of like that contrast because it's very clear, like, here's his uniform, and then here's his personality, and there's like this nice contrast with
He's like the cool kid in high school who, like, it didn't, the dumber they wore clothes, like, the cooler they were.
Yeah, he's like mismatching.
He's a nonconformist in this.
He's mismatching in a very he can get away with it.
Yeah, because he just looks so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Griffey, what do you want to say?
Okay, so we love Ken Griffey Jr.
And so yeah, I can't overstate how much this card perfectly. I like when cards represent what I know about the player. I have lots of examples I'd love to show you about that, but this is like maybe the most perfect example of when I was growing up. Ken Griffey Jr. was cool. He was young. He wore his hat backwards. He was just
his head's forward.
That's right. He was so magnetic.
So I love that you're saying this about because I didn't know anything about him, but everything that you're saying is
right there
exactly
in that photo.
What I'm seeing in this picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to move to a second card, which is the 1990 Topps Ken Griffey Jr. There's a lot of cards I could have picked, but this one I think is in contrast to this card, and I have just my own sentimental value because this was the first set I was ever given as a kid, was 1990 Topps. So take a look at this card, which is a year later, actually. What do you think of that card?
So he's doing the bat over the shoulder again, but it looks like this is actually during a game.
Yeah, it looks like he's maybe sitting at the top of a dugout or something.
Yeah.
You got a woman there in the back with glasses.
Somebody's in
talking
the
to her friend who's
stands.
not paying attention to the game.
Yeah. Yeah, so we've got kind of fair weather fans. And he looks like he's probably watching somebody else play right now. He looks a little scared.
I guess the thing I wanted to highlight with this card is just how much
here's the comma after Griffey, by the way.
There we go. So this card gets a point for that. You got to take a point off for that on the other one. Just how much that eye contact makes a difference. Like this, you don't have that immediate connection. You don't really get any personality from this card.
This card actually, to me, seems like because he's not connecting with, he's not in portrait mode. He's not connecting with the viewer because he's not paying attention to us, and it almost seems like we're distanced from him here. Like
he just seems like in his own mind 1,000 miles away. And, you know.
And it looks like I feel like I can think through what the designer of this card was thinking, and they're like, oh, he's looking off onto the field like he's gonna step up to the plate and he's gonna just knock it out of the park and he's gonna look so cool. We're gonna Mickey Mantle him right here, and it doesn't work.
You're giving that photographer a lot of credit for that much thought process.
Well, yeah, I know. The picture, I think it looks like an attempt to make him look heroic.
Yeah,
and he just kind of looks a little unsure,
sad,
and
almost.
awkward, and a little sad.
Like baseball isn't what I thought it was gonna be.
I thought it was gonna be so fun, and then they told me to take off my turtleneck.
So that's your theory, is that the difference is turtleneck and no turtleneck.
On picture day, it was comfortable. I could wear whatever I wanted, and then when I got in the field, they were like,
when I got to the big show, it's like,
you cannot wear that, Ken. You got the Dickies got to go.
Okay.
I don't like the Topps logo, that weird gold cup.
Yeah, I think it says Topps All-Star
like
Rookie, which, I don't think that's the rookie. I don't think that's a representation of any real trophy, so that's kind of weird. You can see...
Yeah, it's almost like it's implying that baseball has a bowl or something.
Yeah, the baseball bowl.
Yeah.
You can see how Topps, this was pure junk wax, meaning these were really mass and poorly produced cards. And I think it would be very obvious if you held these two cards in your hand. But I think even just visually, you can just see that this is that the Upper Deck is a much more sophisticated card.
Yeah.
This is really kind of lame.
Sad. Yeah.
And I personally, the colors are weird. You've got a lot of orange and yellow.
It's just orange and blue.
It's a lot of weird stuff going on.
And the background is just really, really ugly.
It's really ugly.
It kind of pixelated. Yeah, it just kind of looks like a bad TV show from 1990.
Yeah. So I personally have some nostalgia for 1990 Topps, but I can recognize that this is pretty bad. Yeah. Okay, let's go back to the 89.
The photo even looks blurry.
That's another good point. This looks like an 80s card in that the photography is like not clear.
It's just like somebody's dad took a picture with those throwaway cameras. But even those were clear, though. Even those disposable cameras.
It is so blurry.
Those were clear.
Now, and then you go back to this, it's just like, go back to the Upper Deck. It's like, this is so pleasant.
This is I was going to say this is a professional photo, but I mean, even...
Well, they're all
they should all be professional photos, yeah.
Okay, so back to the 1989 Upper Deck Ken Griffey Jr. Star Rookie, number 1. I would argue this could be the most iconic card in all of sports card history because there were so many collectors at this time who knew this card. I mean, everybody in sports cards could have told you exactly what this card was. More than any other card, I think. Truly. I think this could be the most well-known card in all of sports card history. And that, to me, there just couldn't be a better card to represent sports cards because it's just captivating. I'm still captivated by it 30 years later. I love it. I absolutely love it. Okay, 1 to 100 pretties, E rating.
I thought we were calling it that.
I'm trying to make it work. Trying to sneak it and slip it in there. What do you give Ken Griffey Jr. 1989 Upper Deck number 1, 1 to 100 pretties? I mean, look at that face.
I know. Well, I honestly, the only thing that detracts, I don't even mind the OF too much. If anything, it seems just like a little bit too small.
The which part?
The OF. Because if it's supposed to mean something, it seems too small. But
yeah.
The only thing that actually stands out to me is like a problem is the lack of a comma after Griffey.
So it gets a little knocked there, yeah. It's like they have an extra space there, maybe. I can't tell.
Yeah. Yeah, it is like there's a space for a comma, but the comma is missing.
It's like someone put in a comma, and then like some higher up who didn't know what they were talking about, like, why is there a comma here? You wipe that out.
There's an errant comma.
Yeah. 1 to 100.
94.
Woo! 94? Really? Over the mantle? Oh my god! You said aw like just immediately.
Yeah,
you were taken in just instantly.
As much as I do like the mantle, the composition of it, how successfully it heroicizes him. Is that a word? It doesn't connect in the same way that this does here. And I think knowing what you said about how that is a representation of him, I just think as an image it's so successful. It's just instant. It's iconic. And it doesn't seem like it's trying to sell us anything that he's not.
It's so sincere.
Yeah.
It is so sincere. All right. What'd you say? 94?
And sincere in a time and an aesthetic that kind of lacks some sense of sincerity, and yet it pulls it off.
And as we saw with the Topps card, like this was peak junk wax where the cards were mass produced and they weren't good quality, and it's like someone really took the time to make a good card here, and they pulled it off. All right, 94 pretties for the 1989 Ken Griffey Jr. Upper Deck Ken Griffey Jr. number 1 star rookie, one of my favorite cards of all time.
It is a pretty sports card.
It is pretty. It really is pretty. All right, guys. That's all. Catch you on the flip side. You like that card.
I do like
that. Was
that
like
card.
You. That's a John Brown card right there.
He is such a John Brown. Oh my gosh, yes.